I started to wonder, and I wondered, which led me to wonder. I had to wonder. I started to wonder. I couldn't help but 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 wonder.
Gamers, what the fuck is up? It's your girls, and we're back to talk about the second half of the first Sex and the City movie. The movie that, you know, we all love and cherish. I'm your host, Stephanie, and I am a Louise Vuitton bag.
I'm your host, Alex, and I'm the black character that comes in and solves all your plot conveniences.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm happy that someone's going to solve all my, all my problems for me.
I'm here for you, white lady. Don't worry about it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we covered the first half of this movie last week, but it's so goddamn long that we split it in two, as you probably already know. Yeah, the rest of the movie is continues to be bad. It continues to do the same thing where it has far too many scenes, and so many of them could have just been taken out to, make a movie that has a better sense of, pacing and while still maintaining the actual story and like the funniness of it. But it's long. Yeah. We should probably just jump in because like fucking it's long.
Well, yeah, we don't have any time to waste. We're all gonna die,
right? I mean, well, the thing is, so like we did the first half of the movie last week, and since we didn't know we were going to split it in two yet, you did watch the whole movie last week, so that might help expedite this for us. That like, and also I watched more than half of it last week, and then I only watched the last 45 minutes today. So like, I think it's possible that we get through some of it a little bit faster than usual, just because of like, maybe not having everything as fresh in our brains. But that's probably for the best, because like the duller it is to me, the more I'm kind of like, it's easier to talk about without being just absolutely feral.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to be like mad, we don't want to be like moody or anything, but there's a lot we need to talk about. So we probably will still be here for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, the thing is, the resolution of this movie is it just makes me kind of upset because it's bad. But I guess we'll get there because we're currently at the point where Carrie, they just got back from the honeymoon, because the last scene we saw was Carrie throwing her phone dramatically into the ocean in Mexico on the honeymoon that was just not a real honeymoon, but like Carrie with the three other girls in Mexico. And now we're back in New York, ready to pick up the pieces and figure out what's gonna happen from here.
Yeah,
Okay.
She's here to pick up the pieces. So she goes home, she goes back to her old place, and there's all the boxes from when she had moved out and now moved back in, and she decides she needs to get an assistant. So we get some funny interviews. There's like a fashion girl, I guess, who like wants to work for Vogue, and she's like, I don't lift boxes. And then,
well, I mean, at least she's upfront about it.
Yeah, also, like, I don't know, she's a personal assistant. Like, I don't think her job is to like move you in.
No, exactly, right? Like, I feel like most personal assistants probably don't do that, especially if it's for like a woman who does work for Vogue and like, isn't that kind of person who probably wants a bunch of stuff done around the house for her. But,
yeah. So like, I don't blame her. I think the job is more like, I'll get you coffee and tell you when you have a meeting.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then there's a drunk woman, and then there's a businessman who's like very qualified, and Carrie's like, why do you want to work for me? And then the camera pans down and he's wearing stilettos.
Yeah, and that's like the entire explanation.
And he does like a little shh thing, or like a little wink, and it's like, okay, but like, would you not have walked in them? It's not like they're quiet shoes.
Yeah, you'd think she would have noticed, like, when, because the whole interviews are all being done at, like, a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Starbucks features a lot in this movie. Like, there are a lot of scenes where Carrie is just holding Starbucks or at Starbucks or something like that. And I'm like, okay,
I
well.
think, this film does. I don't know. Maybe it's because like all the I'm sure the fashion brands they mention a lot, like with the overly long like wedding fashion shoot.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm getting all tongue twisted. I'm sure like they paid for sponsorship or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But like it's less noticeable because the TV show generally talks a lot about fashion. They didn't really talk a lot about Starbucks. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of Starbucks here.
Yeah.
So Carrie's like, oh, these aren't fits for me. And then we meet Jennifer Hudson.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Louise
this
in St.
is,
Louis.
yeah, she's really good. She's probably, like, the saving grace of this movie.
Yeah, like it's the unfortunate stereotype of like a lot of the times films will just like have a black character show up and then that black character like just fixes everything for the white protagonist and then they disappear and are unimportant. Like but also like there's Jennifer Hudson and she's really charismatic and great and it's nice to see her.
Yeah.
So it's like twofold. I like the character, but like it's unfortunate. Did you
Yeah.
know that they wanted Beyonce for the role?
They wanted to be on the what?
They wanted Beyonce for the role of Louise.
They wanted Beyonce. Okay. I
Ye-
feel like Beyonce would have been way too big of a name at the time that there's no way you can be like, oh yeah, this woman is Carrie's assistant. And it's just like, it's too distracting that it's Beyonce.
Yeah, I feel like Beyonce is not really like the every woman.
Yeah,
You know?
not really. Like, she works in Austin Powers, but that's because the character is very not the every woman, right?
No, and like in Dreamgirls, it's like, yeah, like she works in films where it's like, oh my god, that's Beyonce.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, oh, this is a character who is normal. And also Kelly Rowland fucking auditioned for the part. So like basically the Kelly Rowland and Jennifer Hudson are kind of, at least in real life and in Dreamgirls, the second Beyonce.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Right?
sure. I mean, yeah, I saw Jennifer Hudson in Cats, and I'm like, yeah, no, like, extremely amazing. So,
Oh, fucking, do you know what? That film, I'm glad it was made just for her singing Memory.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that great, perfect. The one
everyone watch
undeniable
Cats
good
2019.
thing. Yeah.
Well, like, yeah, what I will say is whether or not you can appreciate Cats for what it is, which, like, I know a lot of people don't, and of course I do. Even though the movie is a lot worse than the, like, 1998 stage version, or probably any stage version, what I will say is that Cats 2019, no matter how you feel about it, is a better movie than Sex and the City 1.
Yeah.
So, that's just how it is.
So yeah, Louise is like, Louise is really lovely and has good references and is nice and everything. Perfect. And she teaches Carrie's like, how do you afford that handbag? Because she's got this like Louise Vuitton handbag, and Louise tells her that like you can rent fashion basically, which you can do,
Mhm.
and probably would have saved Carrie quite a lot of money considering she gets stuff and wears it once.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, basically like they hit it off really fast because like Louise is obviously just like super fashion minded, very like gets along with Carrie well, like super well. They're obviously both like kind of romantics where they're just constantly thinking about like relationships and everything. And so yeah, she's like, I'll hook you up. I'll get you everything. Like you'll be set if you hire me. And so she does. She hires her.
Yeah, she does. And it's good. Like, I don't know. We have like a little montage of Louise like helping out around the apartment and she's perfect and like getting everything set up and it's good.
Mm-hmm. It's nice. And then we also have Miranda, who is now looking for she's looking for a new place right now, of course, because her and Steve are currently separated. And they're in this it's like a Chinatown type area. I don't know if there's like a Chinatown in Brooklyn or if this is in Manhattan but she's like, we need to follow that white guy to Magda.
Yeah.
And she's like, we need to follow the white guy with his kids so we can gentrify this neighborhood. And basically, there's a guy with a U-Haul who's like unloading stuff, and literally she just walks into the building and is like, I'm interested in this place, which is that how you find a new apartment back before I know Craigslist existed back then, but back in the day, is that how you found a new place? You just walk in and you're like, I want this apartment.
Yeah, she's like, we need to follow that white guy with the baby, which first of all is a lot. She's like, oh, are we safe here? There's a white guy with a baby. Like, okay, whoa, calm down, Miranda. I mean, she's not lying, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then she just says she figures out if they're coming and going. She just says, oh, can I have this place? And they're like, yeah, sure. And also, this is where the mover is Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, I didn't take a screenshot. I went and looked at screenshots of the movie where they take one every 5 seconds or something. And I pinpointed where he was, and I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely Lin-Manuel Miranda. I guess at this point, he was still he wasn't as famous as he is now, but when did his first musical come out? Because he had one before Hamilton. Was that around this time?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
In 2005.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, In the Heights premiered in 2005.
So yeah, so I guess this is I don't know. The sad thing is, you see a lot of Broadway actors, and they very rarely, even though loads of stuff shoots in New York, they very rarely ever do have big roles in TV or film. I feel maybe Cynthia Erivo did, but then again, she's British. People in plays in the UK will do film and movies all the time and be characters.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel in America it's very separate. So even though he was definitely established in Broadway at this time, which is debatable because he can't sing or dance or act very well. But he's got basically a cameo. It's just an extra. My dad did.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, I fully know what he looks like, but I didn't recognize him until you mentioned that he was in this scene.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I guess, and you're right too. He does kind of seem to be one of those actors who does do one of the American actors. I mean, that does do both stage and other stuff, because he did guest on Brooklyn Nine-Nine a year ago, and then he also was in the fucking His Dark Materials series. And every time I saw him in that, he was doing this fucking accent, and it's just why did you hire this guy to do an accent? He can't act.
I feel because he's one of the rare breakout stars, and he was in that Mary Poppins where wasn't he doing a Dick Van Dyke accent? And I don't know if it was meant to be purposely bad.
Oh,
Dick Van Dyke's Cockney accent is notoriously terrible.
I don't know. I never saw it.
No, me neither. I didn't want to subject myself to that. I was like, do you know what? I've got lots of lovely memories of watching Mary Poppins on a Sunday afternoon as a child. Don't need to see this film. Do not need to see it.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy. I remember they said a thing Dick Van Dyke, who was 90 years old, did a fucking full dance number. And I was like, yes, king. And then I watched Hamilton, the play, the London one, so there was no Lin-Manuel. But some of the choreography, I was like, is this what we're doing?
Shrimp trusting. I haven't seen any of the versions of it, so I have no idea. Oh, well, the only dancing that I know from it is because I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube that are top Broadway, top 10 Broadway songs that do this, or top 10 Broadway roles, or top musicals, blah, blah, blah. And so every once in a while there's a Hamilton in there, and I see the part where they're I've seen not even an entire song all the way through, so I have no idea what they do.
I don't think you need to. I feel it's fine. Anyway, so yeah, Miranda gets an apartment, And then we move on. Where are we next? Oh, yeah. So Carrie is reading to Lily, and she's like, they're reading Cinderella because shoes. We'll get there in the end. Don't worry about it. And she's like, it's just a fairy tale. It's not real. Meanwhile, Lily is like 4, and she's just like, read me book again.
Yeah.
She doesn't give a
cute.
shit. She's a child.
No, she doesn't. Truly, it's not like you're lying to a child by not telling them at the end of every story. It wasn't real, by the way. You're allowed to just read a story to a kid and it's normal.
Also, like, Lily's just gonna be like, okay, and I know it's because she's like, fairy tale, like, happy endings aren't real in real life, and
Yeah.
I need to make sure. I remember, like, my mum told me a story where, like, I wanted to be, like when you're a little, like when I was probably like that age, and I said I wanted to be a princess, and I was going to grow up to be a princess.
Mm-hmm.
And my mum was like, yeah, you can be whatever you want. And my dad was like, don't tell her that. She's not going to be a princess.
That's extremely funny. I mean, like, I guess you could have married one of the royal people. I mean, unlikely, I guess, but
I could have been Meghan.
I'm happy you didn't become
Me
Meghan
too.
because, like, I've seen them, like the princes or whatever the fuck they are, and
they're ugly.
Yeah.
Harry is the most attractive of them. Like, Harry looks the most like a normal human being and not a frog. He's definitely the most attractive and the most normal. Like, he seems like he would be like fun at a party, I suppose. So, like, Meghan didn't do too bad, but also I don't want to marry into a royal family. Could I talk about cum on a podcast if I was married into a royal family? No.
This is true. There's a lot of things you can't do, and that is one of them.
And I'm not straightening my hair. It's just all very complicated. But I could possibly play her in, like, I don't know, a sketch, in an SNL sketch. I'll play Meghan.
This is true.
We'll do that.
You could.
Yeah. So then, like, she, like, I don't know, Carrie puts the book down or whatever. She goes to talk to Charlotte, and we find out that Charlotte is pregnant.
Yeah, they, like, weren't trying or anything. It was just kind of like, it just happened, which is what happened in my family too, so.
Yeah, it does happen. I guess,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe there's, like, a hormonal thing when you're around another child.
I think part of it's probably stress
it's just
too.
Like the stress as well. The stress is like a major factor. I mean, stress is one of the major factors of like late periods. So
totally, yeah,
massively affects your reproductive system. So it makes sense. They weren't stressed. They weren't trying, and she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and she doesn't want to be too immediately like over the top excited or anything because of like what has happened to her in the past, but it's still very exciting that it's kind of like, okay, this is a very real possibility that this can happen for me. So that's exciting.
And I think she must be pretty far along at this point as well to tell Carrie. So
yeah, because I don't think she would come back from her first doctor's appointment being pregnant and being like, oh, by the way, it turns out that I'm pregnant. Like, I think at this point she's probably like a little more reserved about it. But because it didn't sound like Charlotte just found out either, because like Carrie was babysitting while Charlotte was at the doctor, so it kind of seems like Charlotte already knew about it and she's just getting like updates.
Yeah, I think so. I think she like already knew and was probably like hesitant, I guess, about it, and then got the confirmation from the doctor that like it's progressing well and everything's healthy.
Yes.
But it's exciting. And then Smith and Sam are fucking, and he thinks that, I think they like, she comes and then he, having pillow talk, and he's like, you seem distant. She basically says that she doesn't feel like she has a life in LA. And he says, oh, well, you run to New York every chance you get. But then he's just working all the time. Friction in their relationship.
Yeah, this whole movie is like, what if we put friction in every single relationship we possibly could, except for Charlotte and Harry, because Charlotte's been through enough already.
Yeah, Charlotte has been through enough. Only good things for Charlotte, and I can support that.
Yeah, I support that too. And it's also kind of just like, I guess with the Samantha and Smith thing, it's not so much that they have like this terrible, terrible thing happen to them, where it's like with Carrie, it's like, okay, Big left her at her wedding, and Steve cheated on Miranda. Those are like huge bad things to happen in your relationship. Whereas with like Samantha and Smith, it's kind of like a more realistic, like, I don't know, they're kind of growing apart and she misses her old life. He's always busy working and it's hard because she's not with her friends all the time anymore. So,
No. I mean, I guess she's been out there long enough that like she could have made friends, but that's not the same as the friends she's obviously had for like years. And
oh, for sure. Yeah.
she misses them, and she's right. He's her biggest client, so a lot of her work revolves around him. And then she goes home to him. That doesn't leave a separation between work life and home life, which is why I'm a big proponent of not shitting where you eat.
Yeah.
I've said many of my friends, many of them, maybe this is actors being whores, but many of them will fuck someone they are working with. And every single time I am like, don't do that.
Yeah, like I get that it's very hard to stop that if there is like a genuine connection and you're like, what are you supposed to do about it? Just like ignore it. But it's also just such a bad idea. Like it's just it is really something that you kind of just hope doesn't happen to people you know because it's just going to be a mess. Like unless you end up being like a Carrie Russell, Matthew Rhys situation, then like, but that's a pretty rare situation.
That's a rare situation, but they are a sexy couple.
They're good, yeah. Everyone watched The Americans because, like, once you know that they did end up getting, well, actually, I don't think they're married, but they did have They did have at least one kid together.
Yeah.
And then you watch the scenes because The Americans has a lot of sex in it, and you're just like, okay, well, this is just what they do in their real life. Okay, this is a bit more awkward to watch now that you know that. But
I guess, but then you're like, good for you.
This is true. They have chemistry because of it, right?
Yeah.
Like they do have chemistry as characters. It's very good. But,
yeah, I guess not all people who are dating have chemistry, but
yeah,
because I guess it can be kind of weird.
That.
Yeah,
why
but
would
like
you date someone you don't have chemistry with?
Well, sometimes I think just when there's a camera on you, it looks weird. You know?
Yeah, oh, well, that's true. Yeah, with a camera, it's definitely different. I guess just in real life, like, I feel like you kind of have to have chemistry, but...
Obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I it's something which I think if you start working with someone and then you get along with each other and, you know, you start dating, that happens. Try to avoid it. That's my advice. However, like Samantha made the choice to work with Smith, and she could have also made the choice to like once he started to get more successful to like get him a different manager, a different agent. I think I can't remember. I feel like at this point she not retires, but like doesn't work for him anymore to sort of help their relationship because after that she spends a lot of time at home, which doesn't make any sense because she still does. I would assume she has other clients.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we just don't see that or if, like at this point she is pretty successful, but, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess she's also, like, living in the same place as Smith, who makes a lot of money, so it's kind of like he could also just pay for all of their, like, living expenses, but, like, then she's also going back to New York, and I think she seems to, I don't know, does she have a place in New York where she's staying when she goes there? Like, did she keep her old place?
She probably, I guess, and she probably goes back there like once a month. She might,
yeah,
she might have kept her, or like she might sublet or something, or she might just have, I don't know. I mean, she's rich as fuck. Like, I don't know what rich people do.
This is true. It doesn't really matter.
She's like a very successful business. Like she had her own. It was always Samantha Jones PR. Like it wasn't like she was working for another company.
Oh yeah.
So she's definitely like has plenty of money. I don't know. She doesn't. He makes a lot of money because he's a very successful actor. But like the behind the scenes shit is where you want to go if you actually want to make money. Don't be an actor.
Oh, for sure.
You won't make money.
But yeah, well, regardless of like how it works, like the whole end of it is mostly just that, like, at this point she's gonna spend more time in New York and she's gonna kind of like visit him on weekends is kind of how it sounds like it's gonna work.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, they're doing a weird break thing. All you need to know is that their relationship is on the rocks.
Yeah, like they still love each other, but it's just very like
hard to manage.
It's
like business and what, like business and also loving each other.
Yeah.
So we go back to New York, and Louise is sorting out Carrie's webpage and emails, and Carrie's still being quirky and like, I don't know how computers work. What's the internet? And Louise is obviously like a lot younger, and she's like, your webpage is fucked. Like, you need to make it accessible. And trying to explain this to Carrie, and Carrie's like, blah 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 blah, Vogue magazines.
Yeah.
So she she sets up like an email account for the website, I guess, and she goes into Carrie's emails, and there's one from Big.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, John. And then she kind of makes the connection, oh, that's him.
Yeah.
And Carrie looks at it and she's just like, I don't know what to say. And then she immediately, under the email that's from Big, is an email from an insurance company that says, don't settle for less.
That's
which I thought was really funny.
Maybe she should listen to that one.
Maybe she should.
But then so Carrie tells Louise, like, is there somewhere you can send that so I never have to see it? Basically, just like block him or redirect the emails.
Yeah.
So she does that. It reminds me of have you seen that meme where it's like this woman, she goes, and she's like, she's like, block Instagram, block a face, block.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is every time I have like an issue with a man, I'm like, oh, my ex just liked my Instagram post. My friend is like, block.
Yeah.
No
for
contact.
Sure.
They don't exist anymore. Delete them from your brain. Do the Black Mirror thing where they just become like white noise. Like, they're not real in your head anymore. Delete them.
Yeah. I do love that Carrie's like, is that possible? Is it possible to do something so that like I can just block all of them so I don't have to see his emails? And it's like, what if you couldn't do that on the internet and just anyone could just send you emails all the time and you could never block them? Like that, that would just be terrible. I mean, they could if they just made new accounts, I guess, but like,
yeah, well, like, couldn't you do that with phone numbers anyway? Like, couldn't you just
probably.
Like, they must have invented blocking numbers by then.
I'm sure they would have. I mean, well, she's fully changed her like phone number at this point so that he can't call her. So like the email is really the only way he has to contact her other than physical mail because she still lives at the same place that she has always lived. So
for like the past 10 years.
Yes.
Also, yeah, well, I mean, she got a new phone number because she threw her phone into the ocean dramatically.
Well, that's true. But I mean, I think a lot of the time you can keep the same phone number, can't you? Like, unless I don't know if the phone number is tied to like the SIM card or something, but like, I don't know how it works, but like, I feel like she could have just gone to her provider. Like the phone number is still available. I feel like they could have just attached that phone number to a new phone.
Yeah, I don't know. I know we take the piss out of Carrie for not knowing how to use computers. We don't know anything else.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I haven't changed my phone number in so long, even though I moved across the country because like, I don't need to. Because like I can still have a British Columbia phone number living in Ontario. There's no reason to change it because I don't call people. So
oh yeah, this gets me into like a weird. We'll get there in a bit. Because there's more phone number talk later on.
Yeah,
Miranda and Carrie go Halloween shopping at CVS, like a CVS kind of place. I don't know, and like Miranda wants to get a Halloween costume because there's a PTA thing, and she's like, you can either be a sexy kitten or a witch. Doesn't that say something about the role of women in the 21st century?
Yeah, you can be two fucking cool ass things.
Yeah, exactly. You're sexy kitten and I'm the witch. Like,
yeah, like what about it, Promble? Like, I don't understand. I don't see the issue. Like,
yeah, you can be two dope things. You have the choice to be two dope things.
Women's rights.
They talk. Yeah, they talk about men again while they're shopping, and Miranda tries to tell Carrie about what she said to Big. I guess, I don't know, they talk about men a lot. The Bechdel test is not passed. Probably is, but like, not really.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think, I mean, I didn't write down like in detail. I think it's just like Carrie is sad and Miranda is sad because she is like, hey, isn't it fucked up that Steve cheated on me? And then Carrie is just like blankly staring back. This is the part where people are like, actually, maybe Steve is not a bad guy. This is where we're starting to...
Yeah, everyone is kind of just dialing it back. Like, well, don't you think maybe Steve has otherwise been like really great to you? And it's like, you can't just be like, otherwise when there is that one big thing he did that sucked.
And
Like,
it's not like Miranda is saying like, oh, he's never going to get to see Brady again, or the because that would make sense if they were like, hey, I know he fucked you over, but he's still a good dad, he still loves you, like you spent a lot of time together, you are still family. She's not doing that.
yeah.
She's still very pleasant to him when Brady's around. She's still, letting him see them, and she's still friendly with him.
Yeah.
In that sense, as like they are co-parenting a child. But if she just want to be in a romantic relationship with him because he broke her trust, that's fine.
It's completely valid of her to just want to move on from it. And it's wild to me that the girls are kind of like, oh, don't you think you should give Steve another chance? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, if she wanted to give Steve another chance and they were like, okay, well, we'll support you if you do that, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But they're just like, oh, well, don't you think like maybe he, like, it's been a while and he hasn't, like, because Carrie in the scene is like, well, you've been apart for this long. He hasn't even started dating someone else, even though you've been separated. Like, he obviously still cares about you a lot. He's been really good to you. And it's like, okay, like the bar is on the floor. Like,
I don't, two seemingly opposite things can both be correct at the same time.
yeah.
Steve is a good father, he's a kind person, and he loves Miranda. He also cheated on her and broke her trust and her heart.
Yes.
Those two things are the same, right? So if she's having conflict with that, just support her within her internal conflict.
Yeah, exactly. And like, if she's upset about it, then just let her be upset about it. And I would also be upset about it if one of my friends was like, yeah, my boyfriend cheated on me, and like, there's no way in hell that I would be like, oh, but you should get back together with him. Like, unless they were like, I've been thinking about it a lot and I kind of want to give it a second chance. I would probably still even be like, that's your choice. But I would probably just be like, if you want to do that, then sure. And I'm not going to stop you, but I'm just never going to say anything nice about him ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I know it would never happen, but like, Matt and I, good friends. If he cheated on you, I'm gonna get your sword. I'm gonna fly to Canada. I'm gonna get your sword and I'm gonna fucking kill him. I wouldn't be like, oh, but he's my friend. He's a nice guy. Like, no, he fucking cheated. Like,
yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, like, yeah, if that happened to any of my friends, that's exactly how it would basically be for me. But yeah, and so I don't know. Carrie hasn't convinced Miranda of anything. Miranda's still like, no, I'm not going to just forgive him.
Yeah, Miranda tries to say something about Big. Because Carrie's like, if only I could go back in time to that day of the wedding and find out exactly why he didn't want to marry me. Maybe there was one thing that maybe I said to him or someone else had said to him that would change his mind. If only I knew that one thing. And then Miranda, obviously, on the previous episode, Miranda had said to our previous episode had said to Big, like, you're an idiot for getting married or whatever. So Miranda tries to tell her, and then Carrie gets distracted because she sees the Vogue issue that she was in was out.
Yeah.
And she goes to read it because obviously her whole spread was about her wedding. And it's pretty much the same, but then, so it's just like the interview that she gave. And then at the end, there's an editor's note and it says that Miss Bradshaw is still single. The wedding was called off, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, which is just, that sucks to read. I mean, they're obviously not just going to publish like, well, the thing is the article was never supposed to be like, oh yeah, and like she got married and they're happy forever. But it's like, it is kind of a punch in the gut to have them publish that in like a international magazine that a bunch of people read.
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty sure if I wanted to get an American Vogue, I probably could.
Yeah.
So yeah, I probably just could at like the best, like a local news agency.
Oh yeah, for sure.
International news. I mean, I guess like it must have come out somewhere like within the tabloid, like because she was in Page 6, so she's kind of, at least we've said at the very least she's a New York celebrity. so it must be public knowledge to anyone that cares. But like, yeah, it's a bit of a punch in the gut. But also, what else were they gonna put there? A lot of it was about her wedding, specifically
Yeah.
like the planning of her wedding and this whole idea that like she's 40 and she's finally found happiness and she's finally getting married, and this man who she spent what 10 years writing about
Yeah.
has finally popped the question to her and they finally settled down.
Yeah.
They kind of have to say something about it. They can't not say something. That's what the entire thing is about.
This is true. This is true. I guess, yeah. And so, yeah, Miranda ends up not saying anything because Carrie gets too distracted by the Vogue issue and everything. And, yeah, she's pretty upset about it.
Yeah. So Carrie dyes her hair brown. And then, you know, she does the thing of like, oh, I'm sad, so I'm going to dye my hair, which is relatable.
It's extremely valid, except for I can't imagine. I mean, it's probably because my hair is brown naturally, but like, I can't imagine wanting to dye my hair brown.
I think that's just what. It's not even like. I guess maybe it's meant to be like, I don't know, is it meant to be her natural hair color? Because
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say, but like, yeah,
I don't know. It's not the best brown, I'll say. It's not like you want like a J-Lo brown, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like this like chestnutty, like dark. It's darker than chestnut. It's like it's darker than Charlotte's brown. It doesn't suit her at all to me. But like, if I'm gonna have if I'm gonna have crisis and I dye my hair because I'm freaking the fuck out, I am dyeing my hair like purple. It's not going to be brown. I mean, that wouldn't be in character for Carrie, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, part of it is just that she doesn't want to be recognized anymore because, like, there's a scene right before this where she, like, trick-or-treats with Charlotte's family, and people at the doors are all like, oh, you're Carrie Bradshaw. Oh, I'm so sorry about your wedding. And she's just like, Jesus Christ, people are recognizing me everywhere for being this, like, in that Vogue issue. So she wants to not be recognized.
Fair enough. And I guess brown is like the most nondescript without being like just like a mousy, like not a very nice color. No offense to my mousy colored gamers, but like there are colors I think that could just do with a little oomph. And I feel like this isn't too bad. It's very 2010.
Yeah,
It's very
it very much is.
It's very hot girl autumn. Not hot girl. Christian girl autumn.
Oh my god, yeah, it's 100% that. It's absolutely that.
Like long with the waves and like kind of just like a vague neutral brown.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really do anything to your skin. It's not like warm or cold and like bringing out just like neutral, you know? And she like meets Louise in Starbucks and Louise is like, OMG, I didn't even recognize you. And this is the thing, right? This is the thing that's weird to me. Again, me being from like a tiny little European country, mobile phones have area codes, and Carrie's all mad because she didn't get the right area code that she wanted.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, because she's a 917 girl, which I guess is one of the like older New York numbers, but they're now like impossible to get. So now she has a 347 area code, and she's like, "No, I'm a 917. I can't be this." Like, and then Louise is like, "Look, I tried really hard to get you this area code, but like, you just can't anymore." And I guess like, I feel like I understand it on like a super basic level, just thinking about like when like I've always had a 250 area code, which is like a British Columbia. It's like British Columbia that's not the lower mainland, like around Vancouver. And then back when I was a kid, you didn't even have to type in an area code because there were not enough phone numbers, but then now there's too many phone numbers, so then they made a second area code. And I was like, oh no, I hope when I get a phone number, I don't have to be like a 778 number. But if I did, I wouldn't have really cared. I would have just been like, oh, that's kind of annoying. I'd rather be a 250. But like, I wouldn't make a big deal about it. Like, it wouldn't be like Carrie.
I just can't imagine like giving a shit. Like, to be honest,
it's so nothing.
I really don't.
Yeah, it's so nothing. Like, it's like she thinks it's like part of her New York cred or something.
The only like area code I know because over here, so like landline numbers have area codes, but that's it. So like London is 020.
Mm-hmm. But don't you have like 10-digit phone numbers anyway?
Yeah.
Okay, so because here there's 7, but then the area code makes it 10.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have that anyway. And like I think the UK area code is +44, like the band.
Oh.
The not Blink 182 band.
Yeah.
I just had a look at my American ex's number, because I was like, I wonder what area code he is, and he's 773 Chicago, baby.
773 in the Chicago. I don't even know what accent that is. Anyway.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fucking area code is in the city I currently live in. So
No. Let's
there
go fill the Illinois.
Yeah.
Thank you. I knew you'd like that.
I do like that.
So yeah, so this is where like she gets Carrie a new phone, and they just have like the little chat, and she's like, "Oh, I felt like a change. It felt like spicing up a bit." And so she calls Sam. Carrie calls Sam, and Sam is looking at the hot neighbor who's been fucking a new woman every day, and
Titty tally.
titty tally. I have in my notes massive hat, because she's wearing like at one point Sam is wearing a
Yes!
cartoonishly big hat. It's got to be at least 3 foot wide.
It's fucking ridiculous. I love it so much.
It's so much.
Yeah.
And it's like the Jacques Mousse. I'm not saying that correctly. But there was like a fashion brand that like did a massive hat like that, and it was very it was like talked about when it came out a couple years ago, and then I was like, wow, he really ripped off the Sex and the City movie with that one. Why was that a talking point? Anyway,
it is noticeably big. Like I wrote massive all in caps, massively brimmed hat.
Massive hat. And
yeah.
So the sexy neighbor takes off his wetsuit, and Sam starts eating now because if she can't fuck him, she wants to fuck him because she's feeling a bit distant from Smith.
Mhm.
So she wants to have sex with this guy, but she's not going to cheat. So instead, she eats. And
yeah, she does that. She also gets a dog. She like goes back. Yeah, she goes back to New York to get like distract herself, and she's like she walks past this.
Wait,
like,
no, I think
person
it's on
who
like Rodeo Drive.
Where is it?
Rodeo Drive. It's like the fancy shopping place in LA.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's not in New York yet.
No.
And there's this dog, and it's up for like adoption. And originally Samantha's not interested because she's not like a dog person. But then she sees that this dog, and it's a female dog. The dog is just humping everything in sight, despite the fact that she's fixed.
Yeah, dog is just horny despite not being able to fuck.
Well, the dog can still fuck. It's just that the dog
can fuck, but it can't get pregnant.
It can't get pregnant, yeah. And so she just thinks this is fucking. She's like, this is amazing. This dog is like fixed and no longer will go in heat, but she still just humps everything. Is queen shit. So she adopts it.
Yeah, she's like, this dog is me. I am this dog. I'm this bitch. And good for her, I guess. And then we have. So I think we're back with Louise. I have Louise unpacks Carrie's clothes again. This woman is still fucking unpacking Carrie's shit. It's been like months.
Yeah, this is fucking brutal.
Yeah, so she accidentally opens the wedding dress box, and Carrie is like, woo. But Carrie says she wants to keep it because it's beautiful, which it is.
Yeah, it is fair. It's a really nice dress.
I would send it back to Vivienne Westwood, explain the situation, and ask if she could like dye it a different color.
Ooh. I feel like I would probably sell it on eBay or something.
Sell it on eBay. It's a dress that Vivienne Westwood herself gave to you, and you're just like, I guess I'll sell it.
Yeah, featured in this issue of Vogue. I don't know if there's a way you can like certify that it's yours. Maybe take a picture of the dress with you holding it and be like, yes, I am in fact. It's like when people in Animal Crossing want to confirm that they are in fact giving up, fucking like Raymond for adoption. They have to like to confirm that it's legit. They have to have a photo of Raymond in boxes with you standing there with the chat bubble above your head that says like your handle name and everything like that, and something very specific so people know it's legit. She could do something like that except for her dress.
Who the fuck is Raymond? Is that the
Raymond is it's a stupid cat with the 2 different colored eyes.
Oh,
the
I hate
business
that
cat. I
cat.
know.
That cat looks like he fucking looks like someone who like wrote Sherlock fan fiction, made that cat.
Yeah, no, like that cat fully watches what's that really shitty TV? Newsroom. That cat watches the Newsroom.
That cat is gonna mansplain shit to me that I already understand.
Yeah.
He's gonna mansplain Chekhov to me, and I'm like, I've literally studied Chekhov plenty of times, and he's like, no, but you don't understand. Like, I don't fuck with that cat. I'm sorry. And they so basically like Carrie and Louise, then they go for a drink. Louise says that she has a broken heart. She's got a broken heart too from her ex who she left in St. Louis. And I think she said something like they were gonna get engaged. And then he said that like, I actually changed my mind, don't see myself marrying you, and they broke up.
Yeah, which seemed like pretty out of nowhere, but
we'll get
she
there.
has a new guy that she's talking to.
Yeah, she's got a guy she's talking to, and he texts her at like 11 o'clock at night, and she tries to explain to Carrie that like he's a waiter, so that's when he finishes work. It's not a booty call, and Carrie's like, yeah, it is. And Louise is like, and what about it?
For a second, I was expecting that. I was like, wait a minute. What if this is Steve because he's a bartender and gets off work late? And this is the person that he cheated with. Because we never find out who he cheated with. But obviously it's not, because Steve hasn't been, like, Steve has not continued to cheat. Like, congratulations, dude. But, yeah, no, it's a completely different guy. But that was kind of like, that lit up in my head immediately. Like, person who works late because he's like a bartender or something like that. Like, shrimp trusting.
That would be a twist. If this film was written in an interesting way, that would be it. Because then Carrie can have like that conflict herself. We can have some conflict.
This is true.
As opposed
Carrie
to just like men being shit.
Yes, that would be an interesting story. The problem is that the Sex and the City writers wouldn't, like, the thing is they didn't want to write another interracial relationship because of course the person that Louise is interested in is also black, so they wouldn't make it Steve too. They were like, yeah, no, it's like, we're only gonna do this because
it's like, we've done it. I'm sorry, we've done 2 interracial relationships. I don't think we need another one.
So it's not.
It's not. Would have been interesting. Also, if it was him, I would still say that, you know, she deserves better.
Oh yeah, fully.
Yeah. So Charlotte and Carrie are going furniture shopping because Carrie wants to redo her apartment. And apparently Harry called Carrie. I hope that made sense to everyone. Basically told her that Charlotte hasn't been running, and Charlotte says it's because she's scared of something happening to the baby. And Carrie's like, you can't stop doing something just because you're afraid. Which, I don't know, like, she's right that like she doesn't have to stop running, and the doctor said it's fine and everything. Yes. But also Charlotte has had, I think, at least 1 miscarriage.
Yeah, we've only seen 1 of them, but like that's enough to to make you really worried. Well, Charlotte's thing is also like, look, bad things are happening to all my friends who are really great people. Like, first Miranda gets cheated on, and like then you have the thing with Big. Like, it's just like, you deserve good things, and I only have good things happen to me. So like, something really bad has to happen to me, right? And then Carrie is like, Charlotte, you shit your pants this year. Like that.
So nothing else bad can ever happen.
Yeah, like, you've used up all your bad karma for the year. You shit your pants. Like, you're not gonna have any more bad shit happen to you.
I don't know. I feel like I'd rather shit my pants than like be publicly stood up by someone I had wasted my time dating for nearly 10 years on and off.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if there's like a quota.
Yeah, probably not, especially since it wasn't even in the worst type of situation. Like, it was in front of 3 of your closest friends who just laughed at you. They weren't even like,
No.
oh, that's like, they weren't even just judging you. It'd be one thing to have that happen and another to be like, you're about to get married and then you shit your pants in the wedding dress or something like that. Like,
That must have happened at least once.
Oh, that'd be so funny. That'd be so fucking funny.
And it's a white dress as well. Oh my God. You know, I'm not going to be dramatic. If that happened to me, I would just walk out into traffic. I'd just like, that's it. I'm going.
Okay, but then consider the fact that they would find your body with just shit all over it.
How can that? Everyone dies. When everyone dies, they fucking evacuate their bowels. Like, no one wants to talk.
That's true.
No one wants to talk about it, but it's what happens.
I mean, this is 100% true, but it's also just like, I feel like it's different to have it happen, like, if you're gonna have, like, diarrhea all over a wedding dress. That's kind of different than just, like, shitting your pants because you died.
Yeah,
I feel like... But it's like diarrhea on your wedding dress.
Thanks.
It's the perfect number of syllables.
It is the perfect number of syllables. Thank you.
It's very poetic as well.
It is. Isn't that ironic?
Don't you think?
Don't you stink? Yeah. Yeah. A little poo ironic.
Oh,
yeah, you
my
really
God.
do stink. Yeah.
Just a preview of the things we sing at each other in our apartment.
Yeah, we do kind of just say shit like that all the time in our apartment.
Oh, I love it.
When we're not recording. So, yeah. This is what love looks like.
It's adorable. I love it. So this like, I don't know. Charlotte then starts to go and running. It convinces her. And that now we're in winter.
Yeah, the season's changed again. And, yeah, it's like Christmas time because Louise is about to fly home for, Christmas and she gives Carrie a gift. And it's a DVD copy of Meet Me in St. Louis. And
it's very sweet. And then Carrie also got her a gift. She like pretends to, you know, like, oh, I didn't expect this. And then she's like, because if I did, I would have got you a gift too. And she got her a Louis Vuitton purse to keep.
Yeah, she got her this extremely expensive purse. Okay, I know it's a designer purse and everything, but this is fucking ugly. This purse is hideous. It's like so red and blue.
She didn't just get her like if she had just like got her
classic Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, classic Louis Vuitton, or even like, you know, the one that was like Paris Hilton one where it was like white with like the pink and the blue.
Yeah,
I kind of want one of those. If she just got her a classic designer handbag that she could wear, then it could be like an investment piece. I don't know. This one's ugly. It's like kind of patchwork and like really bright. It's like a bright pink and a bright yellow and like an orange. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. She could have just got her like a regular Louis Vuitton, I guess. But she didn't. She got her a special edition one, and.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, Louise does love it.
She does love it. She screams and jumps up and down and is super happy, and it's very nice. She also mentions that like Carrie isn't going to any holiday parties. She's just her on her own, being sad.
With her cup of noodles.
With a cup of noodles. Yeah, it's New Year's Eve, and Carrie's having a cup of noodles and watching Meet Me in St. Louis. And I think they get to like the trolley song, and Carrie turns it off because she's like, I miss my man. And yeah. Which I love the trolley song.
Yeah, it's I don't know it super well, but to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So then for New Year's Eve, Miranda is like sending Brady off to Steve. And Steve's picking him up, and he says, "Oh, are you doing anything, Miranda?" And she says, "No." And he's like, "Well, why don't you come out and eat with us?" And she's like, "Is that a joke?"
Yeah, she's like, "No, I'm gonna stay home." But like they're being nice to each other and everything, so it's like she's just won't we.
she's just lonely,
Lonely.
and Brady, like before, she was saying to Brady, like, when they count down, you have to give someone a kiss, and he says, "Oh, you two should kiss." And I don't know, Miranda is like lasers come out of her eyes.
Yeah.
She's like, no. She's like, yeah. And then she kisses Brady and she's like, right now go. And
Yeah.
I think she has like a little cry. Obviously, it's tough. It's like the first New Year's that she's had alone for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. She calls up Carrie and is kind of just like, she's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I thought having a family meant you'd never have to be alone again on New Year's Eve, which is really depressing.
Yeah, that is depressing. That's sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're talking on the phone. I think, yeah, Carrie was asleep and
Yeah.
then she like wakes her up. Oh, and we also get like a montage of everyone doing their New Year's Eve shit.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, okay. Let me get I'm picturing it in my mind palace. So Miranda Miranda calls Carrie and says like, "Oh, I'm lonely," and then Miranda says, "Oh, go back to sleep. It's fine. It'll be fine." And Carrie like puts on a coat, and like runs to go and see Miranda. Obviously, she's not going to get a cab on New Year's, so she gets the subway. Ugh. And we sort of in between that, Sam and Smith have their like matching robes. The Goldenblatts are very happy and adorable. Big eats alone in like a bar. Fucking loser. Brady and Steve fall. Brady and Steve have fallen in bed and they're like in the matching like sleeping positions. It's very
That's
adorable.
pretty cute, yeah.
It's pretty cute, even though Steve died challenge.
Yeah.
Stanford and Anthony are at the same party and they kiss. And Louise is at a party and she sees her ex. So, but yeah, Carrie makes it to Miranda's and they share some Chinese food together.
Yeah. That's kind of sweet.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. And then it's New York Fashion Week, baby.
This is where I picked up the episode again after stopping it and being like, I cannot possibly watch any more of this episode of this movie in one day. And then we recorded the episode.
I'm looking, how many pages do I have left? I still have so many pages left.
I have too many still. It's like I have like maybe a page and a half to 2 pages left of notes. And I'm like,
okay,
you know what? This is, yeah.
It's not too bad.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we also, mine are also like typed up, so that makes them kind of smaller.
Yeah, mine, I'm talking like typed up ones on my notes app.
Yeah.
So it's Fashion Week. Miranda's reminiscing about Steve, and this is where Charlotte then suggests that maybe she should just take him back because Charlotte likes Steve. Great for fucking Charlotte, but she's not the one who has to marry him.
Charlotte has like the lowest fucking standards for like her friends' partners because she's just like, oh, I've always rooted for Big until he did that one thing, and just fucking like, yeah, I think Steve's really great. I mean, like she does saying this right after Miranda's like, yeah, I went to the aquarium with Steve and Brady, and Steve was doing the funny dolphin impressions, and it was so funny. And Charlotte's just like, oh, are you ever gonna forgive him? I always liked him so much, and he apologized, and it's just like, Charlotte, shut the fuck up. Not everyone has a Harry.
He's sorry, even though he stuck his dick in another person without telling you.
Yeah.
It's great. And then, like, Miranda says to Charlotte, like, would you say to the Carrie that she should forgive Big? And Charlotte's like, no, of course not. I hate that man.
She's like, I could kill Big.
I could kill him. And she's like, which is like when my grandma was like, I'll kill him.
Yeah,
like,
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she imagines when she goes out for her runs, she imagines what she would say to him. And she says, I curse the day you were born. That's her opening line.
It's so good. It's so fucking good.
It's great.
Yeah. then we get just like a little montage of like the fashion show, and Carrie's like feeling happy and stuff for kind of like the first time in a long time, because it's just like the four girls hanging out together, enjoying themselves. And then they walk out of the fashion show, and Sam just gets splashed by these like anti-fur people, and because Samantha is wearing this white fur coat that is like, it is like white as snow. It is
it's like
a lot,
like a cartoon pimp white. Do you know what I mean? Like it's something that like in the Chappelle show skit that like the pimps wear.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot. It's a lot of a fur coat to wear. And she gets splashed in paint by like some PETA people.
And then she's just like, God, I miss New York.
Yeah.
Which, what? Imagine being so rich that one of your nicest, like, well, maybe not one of your nicest, but just like some clothing you spent a lot of money on just got ruined, and you're like, oh, oh, New York, it's so funny.
Oh yeah, I mean, fur coats, especially one like that big and that white, is several grand.
Oh,
and she's just like, let's go paint on it, but who cares? I'll cut it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Louise and Will. Oh yeah, so that's her ex. She's back together with him, and his name is Will. Even though he said that he couldn't imagine marrying her, they're just back together now, and like she forgave him, even though that is a fucking blow.
There is too much forgiving in this movie. I hate it. You know what? If they want to make one forgiving plot where one person is like, you know what, I'm going to forgive you for just treating me like absolute human garbage, then whatever. Like, some people are genuinely like that and will forgive people for being terrible to them. But, like, make it one out of, like, 5 plot lines. Don't make it, like, every single plot line. Like, I'm sorry, but it makes it sound like everyone should be forgiving of everybody, even if they get treated like just roadkill.
Yeah, you don't need to forgive people. You can forgive people and also, yeah, you can forgive people and, like, not get back with them. You could say, you could just be like, do you know what? You hurt me, but we're both, you know, it was a stupid thing to do, whatever, let's just move on, let's forget about it. But also, I don't need to be in a couple with you, and we don't have to pretend like everything's fine and that none of it ever happened. You know, we don't have to get back together. You can just forgive someone and move on and live your life in, you know, however you see fit, whatever's best for you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's kind of weird that like this is the other thing like with Louise is she doesn't really get any character. Like it seems like her heart was broken, and also she's obviously like in her 20s. She's like young. I kind of wish that they gave her like maybe she met up with her ex, right? And we could actually see that they don't speak to each other. Like we don't see them have a conversation. They're just back together now. Be nice if we could see her. Maybe we get a scene with Louise and she meets him and she's mortified, right? Because she maybe had a feeling that she might have seen him but really didn't want to.
Yeah.
And she says to him, like, you know, I don't want to be in St. Louis, right? Like, my family's here. I don't hate it here, but I want to be in New York. Because she says she moved to New York to find love. And she's like, New York is a place for me. I'm enjoying my time there. And, you know, I like being in the big city. And as much as I love you and I'd like to get back with you, I want to follow my dreams, right?
Yeah.
We get that scene. And also give her something that she like wants to do. I doubt she wants to be a personal assistant forever. So maybe she wants to do something like Carrie. Maybe she wants to work in fashion, right?
Yeah.
So have that be a thing that like she goes to St. Louis and she still loves the people there, but she's outgrown it. So she sets herself on a path of self-discovery, and that's why she leaves Carrie's job in the end, right?
Yeah, that would be so
like,
much more interesting. Yeah.
Oh my god, it'd be so much more interesting than just like, I'm gonna get married. No, don't do that.
And we're supposed to be happy about it. It's like, no, what you were doing. And it's not even like, oh, you're doing so well with like this job you have. It's just like, no, you had moved on and like are looking for new things and like,
yeah.
I don't know. And part of it is too, like the movie seems to kind of make like a huge thing about this movie that we kind of talked about in the first episode about it was that so much of it is like, oh, we're getting old now. So like maybe we should just forgive these people instead of like trying to find another person because it's over for us now. And then it's like, but then it's also the same thing with this with Louise, who's like in her 20s. And it's like she has so much, like, I mean, all of them have so much more life left to like move on and find people who will treat them better. Like,
I'm like,
I don't know.
it's like, you can tell that. Also, this is the other thing with like Louise is you can tell that she has a knack for one, organization, and two, for like knowing deep cut fashion shit. So like I don't know, maybe she works as like a closet organizer or a stylist. Like Carrie gets her a
Ooh.
job doing
Yeah,
something in fashion, sort of, you know.
that'd be great.
Yeah, or
Especially
like
since she's kind of outgrown the role of it. Not so much outgrown in terms of like, obviously she's doing a great job and is like overqualified and can do other stuff, but it's also like there reaches a point where her and Carrie are much more like friends, but then it's like it's such a weird relationship to have where it's like you're friends, but she's also like your subordinate that you're paying to do stuff for you, which is kind of a weird line to cross to me.
I guess
yeah.
They are more like friends. I don't know. It could sort of delve into like, I don't know, more of like a mentorship kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess it's also a bit like that. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But maybe she works as like an archivist or something. Carrie could get her an interview at Vogue. Maybe that's
Oh
her
yeah, she totally
ending.
could.
Yeah, she gets an interview at Vogue and she gets the job doing something there. And, you know, that's where she moves on because it feels very like, this is the other thing. Apart from Samantha's storyline, which Kim Cattrall actually like petitioned for basically, it's very like you need a man to be happy in an undercut way. Not in your face, but it does feel like that. They're like, not even to be happy, just like you need a man to be fulfilled.
To be complete. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, you're a complete person. Men are dessert. Men are accessories.
Yeah.
Any significant
Samantha
other is
really
an accessory.
Yeah.
It's something to add on to it's a garnish, you know?
Yeah. It's part of a big picture where like Samantha really is the only one to kind of have that be her story where it's like, yeah, if you're missing like every single thing that you want in your life, obviously you're going to be miserable, but like that one piece isn't the piece that's going to like complete the picture and make you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it sure seems like it when Miranda has like, she has this kid she loves, she has a job that she loves, she has like these friends that she loves where she lives. Like literally the only, I mean, obviously it's more complicated than like the only thing wrong is not having a man, but it's like they really do put the focus on that.
Yeah, they really do. And it's just not necessary in the slightest. Like, yeah, it's great. And for some of them, you know, like they want them. It's not like I'm saying they all need to be single. But it's like, I don't know, there's such an emphasis on like, no, you need to be in a relationship. But you don't. You can just be happy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's ridiculous. So yeah, Louise has brought back her new her boyfriend or whatever, and Carrie meets him, and they're really happy. It's Valentine's Day now. So Carrie gets a Valentine's Day card from Lily,
It's so
which is
cute.
super cute. Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. It's all I need.
It's another Cinderella.
Yeah, Cinderella, and it's like, and just like crayon scribbles, and it says like, to Aunt Carrie, and I'm like, oh,
that's adorable.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that. Do you know what? It's just the fact that I didn't get a Valentine's Day card. If I get one from like my adorable like little niece, yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't need a man. I just want like cute Valentine's Day cards.
Yeah.
I just want flowers sent every now and again. I don't need a man. I can do that myself.
Yeah.
And Sam calls and, you know, she's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And she basically says, like, so Sam's plans that she's going to cover herself in sushi for Smith to come home and then eat the sushi off her and then have sex with her, I guess.
Yeah.
And Carrie's plans are that she's going to go out with Miranda for dinner. Bad idea. Don't ever go out on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, like I guess if you're gonna go with a friend, it's just gonna be so busy is the thing. Like, I guess they probably made a reservation, but like, they're gonna do that, but then they're also gonna go to like a slasher movie, I guess, which, I do love the idea that, like, of horror movies being put out in February, which I guess sometimes happens, but also, like, going to see a movie on Valentine's Day just sounds like a nightmare, too.
Yeah, I do love the film about Valentine's, so that's a good Valentine's Day movie to watch.
Yeah.
But I say just go see the slasher film, but then again, in the slasher film, you're going to get people making out, I suppose.
Yeah, and it would just be such a packed theater, and like, I don't know if they ever, like, maybe in New York they had this before, but like, they didn't really until the last like 5 years here have like the ability to like book your seat in advance and like reserve where you're gonna sit, so you can guarantee that you'll sit with your friend even if you show up when the movie starts. Like, that didn't exist until really recently here, so I don't. That just seems like a nightmare on like the biggest date night of the year, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I'd say maybe this is a stay home one. Just order pizza and get out some DVDs. But
for sure.
They go out. The waitress thinks they're girlfriends.
Which they should be. Gay.
Yes. Now that's the twist. Now that's the twist we need. Miranda and Carrie have had great chemistry. Let them be girlfriends. Fuck it.
Let them. They had these terrible men. They need to realize that, like, they're already two of the most important people in each other's lives. They just need to realize that there's the sexual attraction too.
Huh.
Come on. It's not hard.
No. So Carrie has read the article in Vogue, which, I don't know, when did that come out? In this February now, and that came out in October.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I guess it's a while. I think she says like she finally like braved actually reading it. And she says that in it, she pretty much just talks about herself, and she's like, oh, I'm not surprised that he was freaking out, because all I talked about was myself, my wedding, and my this, and me, and I this, and I that. And she blames herself for the reason that John didn't want to marry her. So Miranda is like, well, we can't be having her blaming herself. So she tells her about the incident at the rehearsal dinner. And Carrie is like, okay, that was in September. So it's been nearly 6 months.
Yes. Yeah, she's pretty upset that Miranda kept this a secret for so long, and because she's like, yeah, I never keep secrets from you. Literally, like, I've been wondering for months what did it, what made him not show up. And honestly, like, yeah, I do think that was an influence, but I don't think it's the only reason, because he was already... I don't know, like, the wedding was already stressing him out to begin with, and so I don't think that was the only thing, and Carrie is kind of making it sound like that is the only thing that made him change his mind. But she's like, I've never kept a secret from you once. Oh, except for the one secret, which is that I think you made a mistake by leaving Steve. Which is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I guess she says it to, like, maybe she says it to her, but, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, and she storms out, and there's also this restaurant that has like streamers all over it.
They're hanging everywhere. They're like in their faces. Like, I've seen restaurants have stuff hang from the ceiling before, but not like so far down that it is hanging over the tables and in the face of the people so that they can like are bumping into them. It's really distracting.
It doesn't seem like a very cleanly thing either, because like when the servers are bringing out the food, would it not be like at streamer height? That's really gross.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so Carrie leaves, and obviously they're upset. And then I have a sort of a semi-tea tally, I'll say here. We have Samantha with the sushi on her body, and there's, I mean, lovely racist music of like Far East, and we need to have music, a gong, and like and she also has like chopsticks in her hair.
The chopsticks, yeah. That was the thing. I was like, I didn't notice the music, but yeah, the chopsticks were pretty bad.
The chopsticks and the music is just like a double whammy of not necessary.
Yeah. And she's lying on the table all like garnished up with the sushi all over her body and like covering her nipples and everything. And she's waiting because he's supposed to arrive. She's like, oh, any minute now. And then she gets a phone call and she can't pick it up, right? Because she's obviously like too far away from the phone. And it just, the answering machine goes and it's Smith. And he's like, I'm going to be a bit late. So just letting you know.
Yeah. I mean, again, sushi. I don't know if sushi's the right one. The food that like has to say cold, or else it gets gross. And also
Yeah.
smells of fish. I don't know if I want that on my body.
Yeah, it's not the most sanitary thing. Like, if I knew that he was going to be late at this point, I'd probably go, okay, there's really not that much sushi on my body. Maybe let's just take it off gently and then wait, like, until closer to when he's going to come and put it back on and maybe keep it in the fridge in the meantime. But no, she just leaves it there and lies there for like an hour waiting for him. And then eventually she just gets annoyed and she does eat a piece and then just gets up and her shoes are fucking incredible.
Yes.
They have like the part that like goes up the top of her foot is like a fish skeleton.
Yes, it's dead fish because she's covered in sushi. Her mind.
So good. I want these shoes so bad. They're so fucking good. But yeah, then sushi just falls off her body just all over the floor and she just doesn't pick it up and she just leaves it there.
Yeah,
and,
she like walks outside and the neighbor is there like just fucking pounding this woman, and Samantha is like, God, I wish that were me. And then it turns
there's
out he's
two
having a
women
threesome.
also. Yeah.
It's two women. And the one woman, so he's like missionary with one of these women. And then the other one like comes up from behind him, like she's like down on the floor, I guess, and then comes up from behind. So I'm like, was she eating his ass?
I have no idea what she was doing.
Was she eating his ass as he was twerking into someone else? What?
That kind of seems like what was probably happening because like she is just like fully lying down. I don't think she has access to the other woman's ass. And then his dick is fully busy. So that's probably that, or she was maybe not with her mouth, but like with her hands or something like that. But I have no idea.
Maybe
but
just with his balls, but like it's a lot when he's like humping someone, like stuff is moving around.
No
I don't know if it's a face or anything
and she's
when it's
like,
moving.
Yeah, she's also like fully making this face like she's super into it, even though he can't even like see her face. And I'm just like, I feel like this is a little unbelievable, but that's fine. It fully is kind of just shot like it's porn. Like it is just very much like they probably just like hired actual porn actors for this. Probably.
Yeah. I think they had a look and they were like actual pornographic actors, which makes sense because, you know, I think if your job is to just simulate sex and be naked, it's like, let's get someone who's that's their job. The job is to look like they're having very good sex. So even
though it's just not very like super realistic, but it's still like, yeah. And like the girl who's like lying down getting pounded, she's just like, we got her titty tally, and she's just like rubbing the shit out of her tits, and he's just like, yeah,
she's having a great time.
They all three of them seem to be having a great time, which is why I'm thinking they're porn actors.
Yeah, they're doing, and they have beautiful. Yeah, I think they are porn actors. I remember I had a look at the IMDb, and I was like, I've never seen these people in my life. Oh, yeah, they had like porn names, so I was like, they're probably porn actors.
Yeah.
Smith comes home, and he like doesn't think it's that big of a deal. But Samantha is pissed. And she like throws stuff, and she like throws a sushi at him, and she's like, I am not the type of woman who waits around and for a man. And she storms off.
Yeah. And I do think she's like overreacting a bit, especially since she's not the kind of person who's ever into Valentine's Day, really. But, like, he's also being, like, kind of nonchalant about it when it's like, oh, sorry, like, I didn't realize you were gonna do something. Like, I would've, if I'd known, I would've come home earlier if I could've or something. And he also takes, like, a little, like, after she kind of storms off, he, like, had a Valentine's gift for her. But we don't ever find out what it is, I don't think. I
don't think so. He, like, does he go to open it? It's in like a heart-shaped box, I think. I mean, I doubt it was just chocolate.
Yeah, it was probably some kind of jewelry or something. I don't know. But
yeah, yeah. So then after that, Miranda has sent "I'm sorry" phone calls for like 3 days, and then like Big, she's waiting outside in the rain for Carrie, and it's very like when Big is ever outside Carrie's place.
just waiting in the car.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. The only difference is that she's in a cab instead of a personal car. And Carrie gets home and is like, have you just been sitting here waiting? And she's like, yeah, for about $17 worth of like the timer on the cab. And so she gets Carrie to get in and they kind of talk about it. And Miranda's like, look, Carrie, you have to forgive me. And I'm just like, wait. There is nothing more frustrating than when someone wants you to forgive them and they tell you have to forgive me. Like, you say, I would really appreciate it if you would forgive me, and I understand if you never ever want to. But, like, just straight up saying you have to forgive me is extremely bold.
Yeah, it's like, no, you have to. And it's
like, or else what?
But that's also what Carrie says to Aiden. Is no,
she
you
does,
have to
fully.
forgive me. Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't have to. But then Carrie's also just kind of like, okay, well, that's bold of you when, like, she's like, well, you won't even forgive Steve and you want me to forgive you. And Miranda's like, okay, that is not the same thing. Like, I kept something from you that may have not even influenced Big. Probably did, but, like, it's probably not the only influence. Steve cheated on me. Those are extremely different things. Like, you can't call those the same, but okay.
Yeah, so I guess she's kind of like, I don't know, maybe I was too harsh, and they go to couples counseling.
Yes.
Where basically Steve is mad that Steve is mad that Miranda is like kind of cold, I guess, and not very communicative. And then obviously Miranda is mad that he fucking cheated.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's wild here that Steve even has things that he is talking about, that he's like, Miranda, you're like, you don't open up to me very much. And it's just like, okay, but that doesn't mean that you cheat on her.
No.
That means you talk to her and say, you don't talk to me enough about these things, and I want to have a real conversation like adults. And it's like, he's like, well, he kind of is complaining at this counseling thing about things Miranda was doing before they like separated. And it's like, this is really more about you though. Like, why are we talking about what Miranda was doing?
Yeah.
But,
it's a lot. And then very quickly, Miranda is on a walk with Carrie. They finish the sessions. It's starting to become spring now. And they've had these couples counseling sessions. They figured out where they were going wrong. And then their counselor, because I don't know, their counselor is just a dramatic bitch, has said, you two are not going to talk to each other for 2 weeks. And you're going to decide if you want to be together. To do that, if you want to be with the other person, what you have to do is go and meet in a place of your choosing, if the two of you's choosing, at a specific time and date. And if you're both there, you'll be together and you'll forget about the past, and it'll just be you two together. And if one of you doesn't want to be with the other person, they're gonna be in public looking like a fucking twat with pie on their face. Basically, she does the fucking prisoner's dilemma on them. Why not just say, look, I understand the like, don't speak to each other for a certain amount of time and realize you'll figure out if you miss being in contact with that person, and it sort of allows you a space to be alone with your thoughts. That makes some sense to me, right? I can understand saying like, look, take these time apart, and then at the end you have a conversation together. Either if you get back together, you have to leave the past in the past. Fine. Why do you need to do a fucking Sleepless in Seattle?
Because it makes for a better movie scene, I guess. The thing is, they also didn't have to meet somewhere so dramatic. They could have literally just met like outside of Miranda's apartment or like in the park or something. But no, Steve and Miranda decide to be really, dramatic. Well, Carrie says poetic about it. And meet on the Brooklyn Bridge, like halfway between each of them, which, like, okay.
They're meeting on a bridge. Do you get it?
Do you get it?
I would say
so that's their plan.
I would just go full sleeps in Seattle and say meet me on the Empire State Building.
Yeah, you'd think so. Do you not have to pay to go up that though?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess if you do
it's kind of like, yeah, it's like, maybe I love Steve, but I love him like, I don't know how much it costs. Do I love him this many dollars worth to go up the Empire State Building?
And you're like, actually, I don't think I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, the apartment on Fifth Avenue that Big and Carrie bought has sold. And Louise is engaged, so she's moving back to St. Louis. Wow, so glad she moved to New York. She rooted her entire life to move to New York, and now she's moving back for this fucking loser guy who couldn't commit to her previously.
Yeah, and now she's engaged now, so like she's getting married in the fall, so I guess that's supposed to be exciting news. Carrie's excited for her, Louise is excited, but it's just like, you all have so much, I don't know if it's like naivety or like what it is, but it's just like, I just feel like you're all so stupid. Everyone in this movie is stupid.
Yeah, everyone's just like, I don't want to say thinking with their clit, but like, that's kind of it.
Yeah, it kind of is. They kind of just are doing that. And yeah, Miranda sure is, because she makes her pros and cons list about Steve. And like part of the conversation with Carrie was Carrie being like, look, you're a lawyer. You could argue either side of this and like it would make sense. So it's kind of like not logic, it's what's in your heart. And Miranda makes this pros and cons list. The thing I hate about pros and cons lists is like, I feel like, yes, you could have one list that's way longer than the other list, but the things on the list are not all weighted equally. So like one thing on the list could like overwrite 10 things on the other side of the list. So it's kind of like, I guess it's somewhat helpful for putting all your ideas down, but I don't know if like looking at the size of the list is really helpful.
My friend asked me to do a pros and cons list when I asked them for like help making a decision, and I started it and then immediately was just like, no, I feel like flip a coin. I know I'm a Virgo, but I have the most like chaotic way of making decisions, which is I will flip a coin and then based on the gut reaction I get, I'll either follow the coin or not.
No, I mean, that's good, because like if the coin tells you something that you didn't want and your immediate reaction is, oh no, I wish it had gone the other way, then you kind of know
exactly
what is supposed. And if you feel indifferent about it, then you just follow it. So it's like, I don't know, I think that's a pretty good way to make decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I do. If I get the gut feeling of yes or oh fuck, I wish it was the other way, I'm like, okay, well, I know what I wanted. It just makes it clearer in my mind. And so she makes this pros and cons list, but then also like she has a point of, I don't know, with this, I guess it's just like you gotta follow your heart at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think she kind of does follow her heart more than the list, because like the list is like pretty long on both. Some of the things on the cons list are extremely funny. Like one of them is like nose hairs. Yeah,
I'm trying to find the list here. So like in pros we have like good father, sweet, good listener, blah blah blah, carpenter, plumber, she says. Then it says doesn't care if I cook, not threatened by my job, good lover, good body. And then for cons, she has affairs, sneaky, selfish, doesn't read emotion, uncomfortable at work functions, breath occasionally, dependent, nose hair.
Doesn't wipe his ass.
No, he doesn't wipe his fucking asshole. And then she says, my favorite one, watches cartoons, and then scratched out. Big red flag.
I mean, it could be worse. I guess it depends on what it is.
It depends on the cartoons. Like, if it's like Studio Ghibli, I'm like, that's fine.
That's cool. But if it was like Steve is obsessed with Evangelion, I'd be like, oh no, nope, not meeting him on the Brooklyn Bridge.
No, a big red flag for me. I am not, and I have not, and will not sleep with a man who like watches anime in a cringy way.
Yeah.
If they're like, oh, I'm watching Japanese animation, that's fine. But when it's like, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna watch a Studio Ghibli movie. Do you want to watch Princess Mononoke tonight? Yeah, cool. Do you want to watch Akira? Yeah, hell yeah, I do. But then when it's like, oh, I'm gonna watch this fucking like schoolgirl fucking slice of life anime, it's like, oh my god, I'd rather eat glass. Absolutely not. I'm not letting you should not be allowed to even smell pussy. Fuck off. And she has again had sex with someone not driven, says embarrassing things, and silly.
Silly is under the cons list? What the
Silly.
fuck is wrong with... Okay, that should be on a pro, but I do feel like slept with someone else is a big enough con to override the entire pro list.
Yeah, I
So-
feel like that's a big enough one that you can be like, no.
Yeah. But it isn't. She,
No.
like, before she goes to the bridge, she, like, looks in the mirror at the coffee shop, which is probably also a Starbucks, and she has, like, a milk mustache again, like a haha funny callback to, like, the beginning of the movie where she had a milk mustache. And then she decides to go to the bridge, and it's very, like, happy dramatic, I guess. They see each other on the bridge, and they, like, walk towards each other, and it's this dramatic embrace, and then we cut to them fucking, and we get a titty tally.
Yeah, we do. Do love boobies. It's like a
Yeah.
full titty tally, and they are like fucking.
Oh yeah, they're like fully like, he's like behind her and she's like sitting on his dick or something. And like, Carrie's voiceover is like, after that, Miranda never looked back except for once. And then she like looks back at him when they're fucking because he's like behind her. It's so stupid.
It's so gross. But yeah, they are fucking. And then we see Samantha, and she's reading The Secret on the beach, and it's 2010. It's 2000 and whatever the fuck. It's It's late 2000s so hard. And her dog like leads her to her neighbor's house. And he is just like, he has like an outdoor shower, I guess, for like the beach, which I love an outdoor shower.
Oh yeah.
And he's washing, and he's nude, and he turns around, and we see a cock.
We fucking see his hog there. It's, yeah.
I mean, it's big. It's big as well. I guess it's probably like a semi, but like it is.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like.
But it's only for like a second. I'm so mad. We see so many tits in this film, and we see like one glimpse of dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Like, know your target audience, but anyway.
I was thinking about it, and like, I don't know, I feel like this must have been one of the first dicks I had seen. Like, I mean, obviously that's not just like, I don't know, being in a changing room or something, but like this is like an adult man, and I was like just starting puberty when this film came out, and I saw that penis, and I was like, I don't know, it was a weird like looking at it and being like, wow, I've seen that. I think I've seen that dick before.
Yeah.
Probably did things to me that I don't realize until right now.
Yeah.
And Samantha is, in awe. And he's just like, oh, hey, do you want to join me?
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm Dante, because of course his name is Dante. And, yeah. There's also, like, music playing, and Matt's just like, they always have to play, like, racially, like, appropriate music for every type of scene, huh?
Yeah, I think isn't it, like, kind of like mariachi? It's, like, very, like, Latin.
Yeah, that's what it basically is.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think he's like meant to be, I don't know if the actor is, but I'm guessing like Latino.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I don't know, he's just sort of like vaguely ethnic enough for it to be sexy.
For them to do this.
Yeah. No, he can say one line. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the one line of I'm Dante, and then he's like, hey, do you want to join me? And Samantha, of course, is like with Smith and doesn't want to cheat on him, and so she picks up her dog and like runs away without saying anything, and he's just like, hey, I'm here anytime if you want to come back at some other time, like, feel free to join me.
Yeah. And I guess he's like seen her watching and just like doesn't care.
Yeah, he's probably just like, this is great.
Yeah, he's probably into it. I mean, I'm not
Mhm.
saying that obviously, like, don't stare at people when they're fucking. But I think there becomes a point where it's like, okay, you're leaving the curtains open all the time.
Mhm.
You probably want me to see, in which case, like, don't make people see you fuck. Like, just don't. If you want to do kinky shit, that's fine. Just make sure everyone's consenting. Don't be fucking gross about it.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
PSA. And so then, oh god, I got
Then we
lost
get
in
the
my.
baby shower.
We're at the baby shower. You're right. I got lost in my notes. We're at the baby shower, and it's at Carrie's place, and her new like interior design looks awful.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's just like fucking ugly bright color. It's like this blue, which looks like the kind of blue that's like in bathrooms. It's not the blue that you want to
Yeah.
have in your entire, especially studio. So like the entire bedroom and living room and kitchen is that color.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a baby shower, and then surprise, it's Samantha, and
Wow, I'm so surprised that Samantha showed up in New York again.
oh my gosh,
What?
for her friend's baby shower, I never would have guessed she would have come for that.
Oh my god.
Ugh,
They scream again, though. They do scream.
they do scream, and then Anthony is like, "Oh, hey, fatty."
Basically, he's just like, wow, you've put on a lot of weight. And I'm just like, hello?
I like, and everyone just like is awkward about it, and not like, can you die? I feel like Anthony's character is one that obviously does exist in the real world, but it's like,
Yeah.
I'm a very camp gay man, so I'm going to be horrible to everyone, and no one can be mean to me because it's just me being like sassy.
Yeah, and then on top of that, he's also Italian, so it's kind of just
Ugh.
like, oh, you know, just like how Italians are just kind of like rude and in your face about stuff. So it's like those two stereotypes combined together into one character where he just gets to be really loud and obnoxious and rude.
I forgot that he was Italian, and I forgot there was an Italian stereotype, but you're right. I mean, not that I like forgot he was Italian, because obviously he's Italian because he mentions it enough.
I mean, he's like Italian American, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the worst kind of. That's the thing. I think it's just the American thing, because Irish American people are annoying too. I think it's just that American people are annoying.
it's people who are like the white people who are trying so hard to like tie themselves back to their heritage of being Italian, where it's just like, wow, I love being rude and drinking wine and eating pasta, and there's nothing you can do about it. Also, I kind of speak with a bit of an accent, and that's about it.
I know, I don't understand people who speak with an accent when, like,
I guess part of it is like where they grew up. So it's not like they speak with an Italian accent. I'm thinking of like people in Jersey Shore who are going to have a Jersey Shore, like a Jersey accent.
Yeah, no. But I mean, like, I follow this person. Well, I don't follow them. They just come to my TikTok sometimes. And they mention that they're like African American, but they have like a faux Jamaican accent. And I'm like, why do you have a Jamaican accent? Like, they sound like Miss Cleo.
I guess like the only reason would be like if you grew up with family who are like your parents are immigrants and that was most of your socialization as like a child was with your family, then like it would totally make sense to have an accent and stuff. But like most people whose parents were immigrants generally like you end up with the accent of your peers. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like if you go to school with other people.
My grandparents were immigrants, and like my dad can't even do a passable fucking Trini accent.
Yeah.
He speaks in a better English accent than I do. So it's kind of weird, I think, when people have like accents where I'm like, well, you know, like when Italian American people say like any Italian word and they're like,
it would be very funny.
And it's
it'd be very funny if Anthony did just have an Italian accent out of nowhere, and he was just like, it's a Samantha. Oh, Samantha, you look really fat today. What's that's a spicy meatball, and just like Samantha's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, it's so awful that he's like, oh, the first thing he says to her is, oh, you put on weight. And everyone is just like, okay, well, he's right. Like, what? Why would you?
It's wild to me. Like, this isn't even something that I noticed, that, like, maybe her character was supposed to be looking bigger than before or something, but, like, the very next scene, the 4 girls are, like, eating cake together, and Samantha's like, yeah, I eat so I don't cheat, and Carrie's like, I don't mean to be rude, but how did you not notice? Which is like, what the fuck?
They're so
What?
fucking horrible. Like, they're so horrible to her, and obviously it is something which, like, bigger people do live with. And if you've gained weight, you've probably
Yeah.
had a conversation with someone who's, like, made a snide comment or something about it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just so much that I honestly kind of found it darkly humorous.
It is wild. And then, yeah, it is very much like the kind of people who are like, cause Carrie even goes, don't get me wrong, you would look beautiful at any size, but how did you get like this? And it's like, people very much do that when they're trying to be like, I would love you no matter what, but I still think it's fucked up. And it's like, yeah, no, this kind of just is what people are like.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, oh, I'd love you at any size, but you are a fucking gargantuan monster. What the fuck? Like,
And she looks the exact fucking same to me. So I'm just
She-
like,
do you know what they did? They just put her in, like, jeans that are a bit too tight.
yeah, yeah.
They have, like, a close-up of her stomach, and she's wearing, like, low-cut jeans, and, like, a little bit of her tummy is hanging out. And it's just that her jeans are too tight.
Yeah.
That's it. And maybe they put, like, a little bit of... Maybe they said, hey, Kim, can you have a big breakfast this morning? And then
Yeah.
that was it. She hasn't, like, it's not like she has to put on... She doesn't even put on, like, a fat suit. It's not like when Betty got fat in Mad Men.
No.
She's not fat. So yeah, and then she says that, like, she needs to stick with Smith because Smith stayed with her through chemo, so, like, she can stay with him through this. And they're like, honey, you just compared your relationship to chemotherapy. So
Yeah. And Samantha's like, well, what? You're not supposed to be happy in relationships, like, all the time, right? Like, what, are you happy every day in your relationship? And Charlotte's like, well, yeah? Like,
Charlotte is like, I have emotions every day of my life.
yeah. She's like, look, I mean, there's obviously going to be, like, there might be parts where I'm down in a given day, but overall, yeah, I am happy in my relationship every day of my life. Like, you should be happy in the relationships that you're in. Like, of course there's going to be work. It's like those fucking straight people on Facebook who make those posts that are like, 5 years with my wonderful boyfriend. There's always ups and downs, of course. Sometimes it's way harder than it needs to be. But I love you no matter what, even though sometimes I just want to fucking kill you. And it's like, dude, are you happy? Like, what the fuck is, like, are straight people okay?
The answer to that is always no.
No.
But yeah, so Samantha goes home, she breaks up with Smith. And she does I think she said this to Richard, where she's like, I love you, but I love me more. So I guess that's just her go-to breakup line.
Yeah, and it's very friendly. Like, she's like, look, I still love you and everything. It's just like, yeah, I love me more, and it's just not working, and you're always going to be really important to me, but... And he handles it like an adult and everything, and it's kind of just a nice break. Carrie's voiceover is like, some of the great love stories are not like long novels, they're just short stories. And I'm like, they dated for 5 years. That's not a short story to me. But
no, they dated for like 5 years is a long relationship.
Yeah,
and
it's a long relationship.
Yeah, so this is apparently like Kim Cattrall like was unhappy that Samantha ended like up in a relationship with Smith and wanted to get this, which I'm like, I don't know. I feel like Smith is the person that Samantha should, if she's going to end up with anyone, it should be Smith. But I get the kind of thing of like, she's an independent person.
Yeah.
It makes sense for her character, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, I'm happy that they didn't try to just be like, oh, we're going to make the second movie and make her end up with some other guy and have it be like, now she's like, it's like, okay, if it's not going to be Smith, it's not going to be anybody. No. So it's kind of like, she's just Samantha again.
Yeah.
And she wasn't always Samantha, but you know what I mean? Like, she's single Samantha again, and she doesn't need that to be complete. She's happy.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't need a man to be complete. And like, if it was causing her stress, she should leave and it's fine. And then we go back to, so she's going to go back and live in New York again. But someone else is leaving New York, luckily, because Carrie can't have more than 3 friends. So Louise is leaving, and she's like, "Oh, Carrie, here's all your letters from your PO box. Might come in handy later." And then she gives her this key ring that Louise has carried around that says like love on it, and she's like, "I found love. Oh, this is for you. I'm gonna go meet a man who fucking broke up with me, but now he likes me again. And I'm gonna go back to St. Louis, even though I wanted to leave."
Yeah. And Carrie's like, "Well, I'll meet you in St. Louis," when because she's gonna go to her wedding eventually. And
Yeah.
Okay.
And she basically says, she's like, you brought me back to life. St. Louise from St. Louis.
Yeah. And then fucking Louise is like, "Well, you made me Louise Vuitton." And it's like, this is so much. They could have just named her anything, but they were like, "No, we are going to run this joke into the ground."
What if she just wanted, like, I don't know, like a Dior bag? What if she wanted a Chanel handbag? Did they call her Chanel from
maybe
Channel?
Maybe they would have called her Chantel or something, and they'd be like, "No, I'm not Chantel, I'm Chanel." And Carrie, it would have been a whole thing, maybe. And then she would have been from, I don't know, something else that's not St. Louis, where she could have made another joke.
So Charlotte is getting lunch, and she's done like loads of shopping, and she sits down and she sees Big
just eating alone again, fucking loser. Remember eating in restaurants?
Oh, boy.
Anyway, she immediately gets up to originally I think she wants to just move tables, but then Big sees her, so she just leaves. Also, the waitress is, I don't know her name. It's the girl from Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 who's not Kristen Ritter.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I noticed her too, and I was like, OMG, the bee.
It's
in
the bee.
Apartment 23. Well, I love that show.
Yeah. I never finished it, but I should, because I do enjoy Kristen Ritter, and I've heard it's very funny. Even though it stresses me out, there's a joke about Lost in it that is just wrong. Because there's a moment where she wakes up and she's like, "Oh my god, they were dead the whole time," and I'm like, that's not what happens in Lost. That's not the ending. Anyway, it makes me mad because people just think that's the ending.
Yeah, that's not the ending. So Charlotte runs out, and Smith chases after her, like, "Oh my god, Charlotte," because he wants to get back in contact with Carrie. And she says to him, she shouts at him, and she's like, "I curse the day you were born." She's telling him how she hates him and everything, and then her water breaks.
Yeah, her water breaks. And the whole time he's just like, "Whoa, don't run, you're pregnant," and trying to be nice and everything. And she's just like, "No, you're not nice because you did that to my friend, and I was always rooting for you, even when you were terrible before." And she gets so riled up that her water breaks. I do love that's what causes it. Yeah.
So he uses his car to get her to the hospital. She tries to get a cab, and he's like, "No, you're in labor." So
and then she hits him in the face with her bags.
I love it. But then the next scene is Carrie goes to visit the new baby, and mum and baby in the hospital, and the baby's called Rose, and Harry.
So I would think this was cuter, but these are literally both Harry Potter epilogue baby names.
Oh fuck, yeah, you're right.
Which fucking is just really okay. Obviously the epilogue wasn't out at that point, but it's just very oh, so you're that type of person. Your baby naming is at the J.K. Rowling level. Okay, we gotcha.
J.K. Rowling don't ever come on City Girls Might Do.
When did this movie come out?
2008.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, actually it did come out. They read the Harry Potter epilogue and they were like, "This is good." And I was like, "No." Anyway, this is Rose, but this Rose is cuter than the one from Harry Potter, because the one from Harry Potter is Ron and Hermione's kid, which probably looks like Ronald McDonald. So, but this one is very cute.
Do you know what? I'm so glad that my hair is incredibly dark, and both my parents have dark hair, and both their parents have dark hair. So that the chances of me having a ginger baby, even if me and Donald Gleason, who definitely could, he knocks me
Yeah.
up and we have a baby, those babies are coming out dark-haired.
Yeah, that seems pretty likely. Yeah.
It's 95%. I'm not a geneticist, but I think that's a correct number.
You would have to have some kind of blonde grandparents for that to happen. That's like the only reason why Matt's nephew is blonde. Is just like the recessive genetics.
I do not have any blonde grandparents. Nuh-uh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have blonde grandparents, so my baby will not have any coming from my side. There are no blondes in this family, apart from my cousins, which is disgusting. I don't like them. I mean, I love them, but like it's kind of weird that they're blonde. It's a bit creepy, a bit upsetting.
Yeah. Get fucked.
But like Harry is so sweet. He says like it's his destiny to be surrounded by beautiful women.
I love him.
I love him. I'm like, oh my god, I want a Harry. And they're like, obviously Charlotte is fine, and everyone's just happy. It's a wonderful moment, and so they tell Carrie obviously the thing with Big, and Carrie's a little bit shook up, but she's like just glad that Charlotte's okay. And then she goes to leave, and Harry says, look, I didn't want to do this, but like he asked me to ask you to contact him. I just felt like sorry. He's like, apparently so Big was waiting around, and every time he heard a high heel clop, he like went to attention because he was waiting for Carrie to show up, but eventually he left. And he says like, look, I felt sorry for the poor schmuck, like and he's he's happy, he's in a generous mood, like he's just seen his baby be born. So he's like, hey,
he is very much
cut me some slack.
He is very much kind of like, look, if you never want to talk to the guy again, that is extremely valid of you. He doesn't say valid because that he doesn't listen to the show, but he but he's basically just like, like if you don't want to contact him, don't. But I just figured I'd pass on the message, and
fine.
So, but he also lets slide this one thing that Big has said he's been writing Carrie for months. And Carrie's like, no, he hasn't. I haven't gotten anything from him, like letters, emails, nothing. Like, that's...
And Harry's just like, hey, it's what he said. But, so Carrie goes home and she, like, looks up her emails. And she tries to, like, find, I don't know, wherever Louise put the stuff from Big. And she finds it, and the password is love.
It's in like a CB assistant folder that's locked with a password, which I didn't even know you could lock folders in your email with passwords, but I guess, all right.
I don't know. Because she goes through like all the PO box stuff, and there's nothing there. But she looks in the emails, and it's all like retyped from the book she was reading at the beginning of the film about love letters from great men. It's all these different love letters that he'd seen in the book and that he'd wanted to say to her, but like he couldn't find the words. And then the last one is from him, and it's just like, I'm sorry.
It would be very funny if it just said, I'm sorry.
Much more though.
Yeah, it says like, I know I screwed up, but I will love you forever.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, that's not an apology.
No, it's not, and it's not enough. It's kind of like, well, okay, maybe I won't resent him as much, but I've moved on at this point. Like, I have other shit to do. But yeah, no, she gets a call back from Louise because she originally tries to call Louise about the password before she guesses it. And Louise is like, by the way, don't forget the apartment is officially sold by 5 p.m. today or 6 p.m. today. So make sure you go in and get those shoes you've never worn before that you left there, which I don't know why they're still there. She got all her stuff back.
Why didn't Louise go and get it?
I don't know. Well, Louise is now in St. Louis, but I don't know what, because they got all the stuff in the boxes. Yeah, all of Carrie's stuff got returned. Why did the shoes not? And so Carrie's like, I don't know. And Louise is just like, Carrie, those shoes are worth like $400. If you don't get them for yourself, get them for me. And then Carrie's like, okay, you know what? They were actually like $525. So sure, I'll go and get them.
And like,
so she goes to the apartment.
Other thing, I thought that Carrie was going to give Louise the wedding dress, but she doesn't. And
Yeah, that would have actually made sense. Although I guess it is kind of tainted at this point.
I
She's gonna like
guess
curse Louise.
I don't know. That's true. Maybe not. But I feel like I don't know.
They're also like different sizes, I guess.
Vastly. I
Yeah.
mean, Sarah Jessica Parker is tiny woman.
She is tiny. Yeah.
So, and like Jennifer Hudson is, not like they're vastly different sizes. It's like me when I hang out with my friend who is very small, and I'm like, we're like, oh, can I borrow? Like, I think at one point they were like, oh, you can borrow this dress I have, and I'm like, that's not gonna fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, they like had like a dress that they didn't wear, and they were like, oh, do you want it? And I was like, that's not gonna fit me, babe. Just not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try it on.
I mean, I guess she could have had it tailored, I guess, but like it would just be, I don't know how it would work. I feel like tailoring dresses is more like tightening them if they're too big. And
you
not
can
as
let
much,
the
like,
seams out, but like not on a couture gown.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really different.
Yeah, you can let the seams out of dresses or like pull them in, but not on couture gowns. But I don't know. It kind of just feel like a Chekhov's dress that doesn't really come into any use.
Well, there is a Chekhov's dress, but it's her other one.
There's another one. So Carrie goes to the apartment and she goes into the closet. She opens up the closet doors and Big's there with the shoes, and he's
holding them. How many times are they going to get back together? I'm going to fucking kill myself.
Yeah. So he has the shoes and he's like, oh, I was gonna give them to you. And she runs into his arms, and then they fall on the floor together, and he proposes. Well, he's like, oh, I can't remember what he says. I blocked it out. But he basically says like, oh, I'm sorry for, breaking your heart and not really proposing to you in a proper way. So what if I propose to you like this? And he gives her the shoe like Cinderella and puts it on her foot, and she says yes. And then they get married again.
They get married again. This time it's in a courthouse because they were like, we were so happy before we decided to make things like, official. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with us. And it's like, okay, you had very valid reasons to want to get married, at least for Carrie. But they just realized, making a huge deal out of it with like a huge party and everything is kind of just not necessary for them. They get married in a courthouse. It's just them. None of the girls are there. Everyone in the audience is just other people waiting to get married. Carrie is now wearing her vintage dress that she originally bought to marry Big in, which is like, oh, that came back.
Because she said, I'm going to marry Big in this dress. And then guess what? She did.
She did. And then they're leaving the courthouse, and Big is like, oh, it's a shame the girls weren't here for this. And Carrie's like, oh, yeah, but I mean, it's nice that it was just us. And then he's just like, well, that's why I called them. And then he just busts the door open, and they're all there screaming.
What if they weren't there, though?
I know, I was just thinking that. Like, what if he's like, oh, I got all your friends. I called them all. And then they're just not there because they fucking hate Big, so they didn't show up. But yeah, so they all congratulate her. Charlotte says Mazel Tov. And then they go for like a big lunch with like Anthony and Stanford and Steve and all of the girls and Big, and everyone's happy. And it's just like, this movie was such a mess. We could have just gotten happily married and it would have been a completely fine movie, but we had to throw in 2 hours of bullshit instead. And now we got to the same ending we originally could have gotten to without all of that horse shit.
It was convoluted.
They could have just they could have just taken out the entire Steve plot, and the movie would have been a reasonable movie length, and I would have been so much less mad about it.
It could have been that, like, the day of the wedding, instead of Big just, like, leaving, he calls it off, like, the night before. Like, he calls off the wedding. He says to her, instead of leaving her, at the altar, he says, like, I don't want to get married like this. And then they have a bit of a fallout, but, like, it's a bit more forgivable than just leaving someone at the altar.
Yeah.
And then instead they have this, like, normal marriage. And it's like, oh, the things that are actually important are the connections you make and the family you find, and not making a big, like, fucking song and dance out of stuff for clout. Then that's the moral of the story. Done, bish, bash, bosh. However, it's just convoluted. And we never get to see Louise's wedding.
We don't, and it is far too long. There are so many scenes in this movie that you could have easily cut and achieved the same movie. And like, yeah, they had a couple funny bits in them that are like very reminiscent of how the show's pacing worked, but that just don't need to be in the movie. And that would have made it like a completely normal length for a movie to be.
And then on the two hand, there's stuff where I'm like, there is just massive scenes that are missing. You know, it's like on the one hand, there's way too much stuff with like way too much padding. And then like, I don't think we need to see like Charlotte running and like, oh, she's learned how to run again. Like, I don't know. Do we need to see that?
Like, no, we don't.
It's a lot. And then on the other hand, you're like, okay, well, if we're going to introduce a new character, like maybe have her do stuff, or, you know, maybe have characters do things that don't concern their boyfriends. It's just like, yeah, maybe
and like
you could have had like Miranda and Steve, just their marriage is a bit stale at this point, instead of he cheats on her and it's therefore like, you know, unforgivable. It's just their marriage is stale and maybe they separate for a bit.
Yeah, that would have been just a way better movie. Because, like, of course, too, like, they should have changed a lot of the main plots. Because, like, of course, not every scene in a movie needs to be towards the plot. Like, most great movies that I can think of have a lot of scenes that are just good character scenes. And, like, I do think that this movie does that in some ways. Like, there are some scenes that are not necessary that are just, like, I like them for the characters. But, like, just completely overhaul the face of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, do that. You need to do that. We have like 2 more scenes that are left before it's over, but like this is the end. Like the plot is over basically. We just see like one more scene where Carrie does like a book reading and she's like, I started to wonder. And it's just something like, we write our own vows, but not our own rules. Why is that? Queries?
Yeah.
And it's just stupid.
Question? Yeah.
And then we have one final scene where the girls are all out for drinks and it's like Samantha's 50th birthday and they get a cake and Carrie's just like an oldie but a goodie, just like Samantha. And yeah, it's kind of nice to end it on a good note of just the girls rather than like everyone, I guess.
But also it's just like, I don't know, can we go home now?
Yes, we can. We can, because we're finished. We finished the first movie.
Thank fucking Christ.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we can wrap this up. We can do rankings for the whole movie at this point.
Okay.
And then we don't have any questions, so it's just rankings, Patreon, and we're done.
All right, great. My rankings. Okay. Number 1,
Charlotte.
I'm gonna no hot take. All right, you do yours. I've got a difference of opinion.
Okay. Well, Charlotte's my top just because I'm happy to see her happy. I honestly feel like she has the funniest moments in this movie, and I kind of feel like it's like nice to see her finally have the life that she has been working towards in the whole series, and just like her and Harry are still good. It's like the one plot that doesn't like completely depress me. Lily is just adorable. I do hate that Charlotte like roots for Steve, but she also yells at Big on 2 separate occasions.
True.
And says, I curse the day you were born to him. And I just feel like in general, Charlotte was like, she also shits her pants.
Yeah.
That was like the funniest thing that's happened in the whole series. So like that, she is like my top. Second is probably Samantha, because she really, I agree with Kim Cattrall that Samantha doesn't need to have a man to be happy, and I do think it's kind of like a realistic ending for her and Smith. That's like an amicable breakup, but like she misses her old life. She is like still happy. She's turning 50 and she's like she's self-sufficient, and I really like that. Fuck, the last 2 suck. Miranda and Carrie. I don't know. I feel like I prefer watching Carrie's scenes to Miranda's scenes because Big is not in so much of this. And I do, I don't know. This sucks. I don't really know what to rank them. Maybe you go and then I'll decide how I'm going to split those 2 up.
Okay. I'm going to put, all right, Lily is the unofficial top.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
But for my official one, I'm gonna say Samantha
Yeah.
because I feel like she made a solid decision and like she didn't cheat. And I thought, I thought maybe she would. It would be kind of in character for her to do so, but she never does. She doesn't even after she breaks up with Smith, she doesn't fuck that guy next door. Like she just moves on with her life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she just has a solid story. And then I'm gonna say obviously Charlotte, but like I don't know, she did shit herself. But also because it was her own damn fault because she was only eating chocolate pudding in a 5-star resort in Mexico because she's like a Republican.
Yeah, she was kind of racist in Mexico.
I mean,
that did suck.
I guess Samantha was racist with like the sushi thing, but at least that was in the privacy of her own home.
She was the only person there deciding to play this weird, this like very stereotypical Asian music and put chopsticks in her hair. And the sushi she was making when she was on the phone with Carrie was very bad. I'm pretty sure she just ended up ordering it, even though she said it was handmade.
Yeah.
There's no way the sushi she made by hand turned out looking as good as it did on her body. But anyway.
So yeah, she was racist but in the privacy of her own home, which I'm not. I think a lot.
They're both bad.
I would say 90% of white people have done that.
The thing, oh yeah, for sure.
So,
and like the thing is about Samantha or about Charlotte is she paid for it because she only ate the pudding and then she shit herself. So
That's
it's kind of
true.
like, it came back to haunt her.
If only all racists could publicly shit themselves, then we'd live in a better society.
It's true.
But I mean, her having Rose and like Harry and Lily, like, is so cute. And yeah, she just shot big, so 2 thumbs up. I'm going to ignore the racism. Chen doesn't exist. Just like, shouldn't do that. You really shouldn't ignore racism. But for the purposes of this arbitrary list, I'm going to put it on the back of my mind. And then I think Miranda, because the thing with Big was the most egregious thing she did. But like that was a heat of the moment thing. Obviously, not telling Carrie was bad, but like I can't really blame her for not telling her because Carrie was in like a very deep depression. I feel like that would probably send her over the edge. But maybe she should have told her sooner than like 5 months.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is she told Charlotte about it, and Charlotte was like, "You know what? I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Let's just move on." It wasn't even just like she hadn't told anyone about it. So
yeah, no, so Charlotte, I guess, is as much at fault for that as well. And then the thing with Steve, I think she just succumbed to peer pressure, to be honest. But even then, it's whatever. She can do what she wants. If she wants to be with him, like, he is still the father of her child, blah, 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 blah. They've got through a lot together, so it's feasible they can get through this too, but like, I don't really give a shit about Steve. And
I don't give a shit
Carrie
either. He just sucks.
And like, Carrie's not too shitty in this, really. Like, she's not really too bad. She's just annoying because it's Carrie, but like, she's not a bad person in this. She does have a very horrible thing happen to her, and she gets through it and survives it. But she does get back together with Big.
Yeah, she does get back together with him, and it does kind of feel like, I mean, okay, so Big sent all those letters, like, wow, he typed them all up by hand. Like,
but he didn't even fucking write them.
Yeah.
If he had written her actual letters, right? And this is the thing. Throughout the whole series, his issue has been that he is not emotionally like vulnerable and doesn't open up and like isn't emotionally intelligent. So it's like, if he wrote these letters and they were genuine love letters that he wrote from his heart, and maybe they weren't very well written even, but they were from him and it was him,
that would be so different.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, do you know what? Maybe they can work something out. Maybe. But like, he just fucking copied and pasted them.
Well, he typed them all up by hand because he had to read them from the book and then type them up letter by letter.
Yeah, well done. He can type.
Like, over the course of months. Like, okay, one day you type up the letter. Like, yeah, it's so nothing. I really just feel like he did not put that much effort into it. Like, the whole thing being him being like, yeah, it's not really my style to write a love letter. And he doesn't even write it. The only one that is from him personally is 1 sentence long. It's fucking horseshit.
Exactly. And it's been what, like a year? Nearly. Because
Yeah, it's a long time.
if for Charlotte to have had a baby, I know she had the baby like a little bit early, but like
A week. So,
yeah, so like it must have been coming up to a year.
yeah.
So it took him a year, and he sent like what, 6?
Yeah. I think that Big and Steve both did really terrible things. I feel like they're both just incredible betrayals of trust. But the thing that Big did was so much more publicly embarrassing to the person that he cared about. Steve's thing was an incredible betrayal of trust, and I don't know how Miranda ever forgave him, but I know that people do forgive people for cheating. Like, I've listened to Lemonade. I know that people do it, even when their partner is a complete, absolute scumbag. But, like, the thing Big did was just so embarrassing. It's like everyone you know, people you don't know that he just didn't show up to the wedding.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it was like 200 people. It's so embarrassing.
And at least Miranda and Steve went to counseling as well, so they could both get everything out on the table. And like,
yes,
even though it sucked, she handled it in the most responsible way of both for their child and for their own mental health, right? Let's go and get counseling and then make the decision if you want to be together. That's fine.
Yeah. I think that's true. Yeah. I'm going to put Miranda third for that reason. Like, everything she did was like, she didn't do it easily.
No.
She never was like, oh, I'm going to just try to take Brady away from you or anything like that. It was all very like mature of her to do. And it's not like she instantly forgave him. I do think it sucks that she forgave him at all, but it is what it is. But with Carrie's thing, it's just like, and I know obviously the way that other people see your relationship shouldn't have anything to do with your relationship, but like, knowing that like hundreds of people probably think I'm an absolute chump for taking someone back after they left me, whereas like in Miranda's case, it's like maybe like 3 of my friends know about this.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit different.
Maybe like just my close friends and family know about this, and also they would then know that we talked it out after a long time. We were still in communication and spoke to each other and put our child first, and also received counseling. So
for sure. Yeah. So yeah, Carrie at the bottom. Again, like you said, she doesn't do anything terrible in this movie as far as I remember. Like, she has some really relatable moments, like when she goes into that like depressive state when they're on vacation and she just doesn't come out of the room for like a day and a half. Like, yeah, no, there's moments that she has that are extremely relatable. She has some good moments in the movie. It's better than a lot of her stuff in the show. But yeah, it's just painful to see this ending. It sucks. Yeah. The ending of this movie sucks. The whole movie kind of sucked, but you know, it had its moments. I did laugh when I saw the list. Miranda's pros and cons list made me laugh. Charlotte shitting her pants made me laugh. There's some good shit in this movie. It's not wholly bad, but it's not canon for a reason.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Rankings are done. Okay.
Patreon.
Oh, fuck. We probably shouldn't even tell people to send us questions for next week either, huh? Because we're like gonna be doing the second movie, and so like this is also gonna be long, unless we split it up into like 3 instead of 2, and then it doesn't take as long. But like still,
that's like slowly ripping off a band-aid. Let's just do 2.
Yeah, let's just do 2. We need to get it over with. Anyway, if you want to follow us on Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/citygirlsmakedo. At $1 a month, you can get a special Discord role if you join our Discord server. You get access to bonus content like the Mummy Mailbag and the Looker and Nanu channel of exclusive pictures, which is on Discord. We're going to be recording our Keanu probably in the next week, I guess, because we're at the end of October. We're going to do Dracula because it's spooky.
Ooh. That was my Jack.
So that'll come out sometime. I love it.
Thank you.
So that'll be soon. At $5, you get all the $1 stuff, plus you get a specialer Discord role. Plus I will shout out your name on the podcast every week. And if you'd like, you can submit stuff for Steve Voice. And then at the $10 level, you get all of that. Plus, you can listen to us record live if you would like to do that. So all of our $5 and up donors are Alex Schaup, Summer Geist, Sophie, Jennifer Snyder, Matt Ribeiro, Jessica Alachi, and Siberian Pine Hardwood. Thank you everyone who's donating. Your support has been amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're like 2 episodes away from finishing the entire Sex and the City cinematic universe, plus the show. Like, all of it is going to be done soon, and then we can finally take a breath and start a new thing.
I'm so excited for the new thing too, because
I know. Change of pace.
yeah, it's a change of lifestyle. It's a different.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much, but yes, thank
don't
you for
wanna
your
say too much.
support.
Yeah.
It means a lot, especially in these hashtag trying times. Why does everything always say trying times? It's always trying times. But
Well, it's that, or it's unprecedented.
unprecedented or trying, whatever. You know what I mean? The scary P word. It means a lot, and it also just means a lot that you're listening and enjoying the show. We're glad.
Yeah.
It's fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you want to find me online, you can find me at Age of Oddish on Twitter, and you can find me on Tumblr at Windfall Island.
And you can find me on Tumblr at Dork Phoenix and on Twitter at Alex the Virgo. The
Hell yeah.
the Virgo. That's right.
The Virgo.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, gamers. So long and good night.
Fuck cops.
Fuck cops.
Blue lives don't matter. Kiss Keanu square on
Don't
the
matter. Mwah.